When I first started this channel, I wanted to cover all the sports games and even some games beyond the sports genre, and so far I have. That being said, baseball, hockey, and soccer are the most popular sports that I cover the least. I want to cover these sports more, but my knowledge of sports gaming is strongest with NFL, NBA, and college titles. That being said, I have covered MVP Baseball 05, the fall of MLB 2K, and I've made a retrospective on MLB The Show. I also made a video on Super Baseball 2020 that I thought was pretty interesting. The point is, I want to keep making more videos on these other sports games because they help us tell the full story of the current landscape. Even if you don't play these games, these videos can provide important context for the entire sports genre. MLB The Show 24 is the latest game in the series. It released back in March of last year, and while it received good reviews from publications, the user reviews were terrible. Sound familiar? Despite adding 400 new animations, logic improvements, 4 more pinpoint pitching gestures, and updated MLB rules in relation to things such as the pitch clock, fans do not seem to like this game. The same way Madden fans, NBA 2K fans, FIFA or FC fans, and NHL fans feel about their respective games. But why? While on the surface, the Show 24 seems like a pretty deep game with some features other sports games are missing, such as an in-depth stadium creator and some cool historic game modes, 24 at its core was barely any different from 23 outside of some menu design changes. This game was essentially a roster update, or as close to a roster update as the show has ever been. Not only that, but this year the game seemed to have worse servers than ever before, terrible in-game logic such as managers ordering intentional walks during the combine, which would never happen in real life, or players making poor decisions such as not bunting when you'd expect them to. Franchise mode has been left alone for a long time now, and the game itself doesn't feel like it's really progressed at all over the last 5 years. It looks and plays about the same as it has for a long time. We will dive deeper on these issues, but with MLB The Show 25 on the way, I figured now was as good of a time as any to discuss the current state of the series. MLB The Show was once so good that it killed off MLB 2K. Now, it appears to be yet another stagnant sports franchise. Let's take a look at the state of The Show 24, and then look ahead to 25. MLB The Show 21 seems to be the last title that fans of the series really enjoyed. Since then, arguably everything about the game has gotten worse, from the gameplay to the game modes, even to the graphics. Outside of some new cutscenes, Road to the Show has been ignored for years. It's also now riddled with microtransactions, as a lot of accessories, celebrations, announcer calls, abilities, and more are only obtainable through opening packs in Diamond Dynasty, which is the Ultimate Team type mode here. I haven't even touched on the seasonal cards either yet. This game needs a revamp and badly. Despite this, it does do certain things better than other sports games on the market. For example, the game has atmosphere when you first start it up. You get to see a cool cinematic of MLB history in the previous season, along with epic music and a voiceover. These little cinematics used to be in every sports video game, but now games like NBA 2K and Madden start with little to no excitement, fanfare, or a video. MLB The Show 24, at the very least, shows some respect to the history of the sport it represents. When you start the game, you get immersed into the sights, sounds, and lore of the MLB. It's nothing mind-blowing, but it goes a long way in terms of creating a premium-feeling experience for fans. Let's take a look at the game's main menu. Is the game like Madden where clicks take forever to register and navigation is a mess? Surprisingly, no. The main menu is responsive and even gives vibration feedback. I like a responsive main menu. For some reason, that is now a rare thing. That said, the pink and white design is certainly a choice. I'm not sure if this was supposed to be a little extra girly to coincide with female player creation, or if it's just a stylistic decision to go with something bold and unexpected. Either way, I think this game's target audience would prefer a more professional looking menu layout with a darker color scheme, since dark mode is where it's at these days. Continuing with the positives though, I really do like the Storylines game mode. The Negro Leagues mode continues from the Show 23 and it's really dang cool. I often talk about how video games can act as time machines, allowing fans to experience classic moments from the history of the game's respective sport. The Storylines mode lets you replay moments from history, with relatively accurate rosters, teams, stadiums, and even presentation packages. Playing through the Negro League's storyline shows historic footage and educational video clips related to the player and situation, and then you get to hop in and play it and get rewards after. This is a great way for new or younger fans of the sport to learn about this lesser discussed era of baseball. The scoreboard and commentary adjust to match the era, which is an awesome touch. Derek Jeter also gets a storyline where you can select moments from numerous years of his career and replay them, with authentic rosters and presentation for that era. It's similar to the Jordan Challenge from 2K11 or 2K23. While scrolling through the main menu, I also noticed a separate moments mode. I saw that some of the moments were from the 2000s, so I played some of them, only to realize that this is more of a Diamond Dynasty related mode than a true moments mode. For example, in this Kevin Youkilis moment, you're actually playing with the modern Red Sox roster against the modern Diamondbacks roster. Only Kevin Youkilis is a throwback player because you're just using his card. I was hoping the moments would be like the Storylines mode and have authentic rosters to truly replicate the moments accurately, but it's closer to what you'd find in Madden Ultimate Team. So the show 24 does have some nice historic game modes, but 23 also had storylines to play through, and outside of these additions, there's really nothing new here. Gameplay is nearly identical, as is presentation, as are the graphics. This game looks like it's from the PS4 generation still. Framing issues and bugs from older titles are still present. This is likely because the game is still releasing on old-gen consoles. It needs to be PS5 and Series S and X only. Franchise mode has been untouched for years, and like NBA 2K, it suffers from core logic issues that break the mode. Trade logic is awful, player progression and regression are too tightly tied to age, and actual performance or training doesn't seem to have as strong of an effect as you'd expect. There is still no online franchise mode for playing with friends, and even older games like MVP Baseball 2005 had more depth in franchise mode. And despite having those historic players and storylines, there are no classic teams or different eras to start a franchise in like you would see in NBA 2K. Franchise mode feels like it would have been fine in maybe 2010, but in 2025 it's very behind, and worst of all, it's boring. The only reason this isn't talked about more is because the bar is extremely low thanks to what other sports games on the market are doing, or not doing. Outside of the overall stale feeling of the game, the pay-to-win mechanics have gotten worse. For years I've heard that Diamond Dynasty is better than My Team or Ultimate Team because apparently it's more fair and balanced for free-to-play players. That may still be true, but it's becoming more and more over-monetized each year. Basically, the show 24 does some things better than other sports games on the market, but does that matter when the bar is this low across the genre? Since the show 21, this game has seemingly gotten worse every year, and like every other sports game on the market, it desperately needs competition to push it. The show 25 comes out in 3 months, but so far we don't know much about it. I'll go over what we do know so far. Let me know in the comments if you want me to cover this game the same way I covered Madden, College Football, and 2K, with a trailer reaction and eventual review when the time comes. If there is interest, I'll do it. Same thing for PGA Tour 2K25 and EA's PGA game. Let me know. Of course, when looking at the latest news on theshow.com, Diamond Dynasty is the first part of the show 25 mentioned. It's always the microtransaction-riddled modes, isn't it? Franchise mode does not seem to be valued anymore these days. Good news for Diamond Dynasty though, sets and seasons will not return in the show 25. This is great news, but this never should have been a thing in the first place. Basically, certain cards could only be used in certain seasons, so your cards that you'd spend money to unpack would become worthless even faster. Happy to see that this is going back to normal, but is that really the first and most important new change for 25? After some more Diamond Dynasty news, specifically news that you could start earning rewards in 24 that apply to 25, which is cool and all, the article shares a sneak peek of what's coming. Road to the Show, a mode that has been neglected for years and is now extremely boring and dull, will deepen the player's journey before being drafted, and it says they will return control to how a player develops and grows in new and interesting ways. While that sounds like some desperately needed life is getting injected into the mode, notice how it says return control, aka they are making the game more like it used to be, which also falls in line with the previous Diamond Dynasty comment. When a game starts to fall off the rails, reverting to what fans liked in older titles is not a bad solution, but how can you truly innovate when you're still chasing the past? This is the same issue EA Sports games seem to always have. For franchise, a mode that is in even worse shape than Road to the Show, it says there will be improved trade evaluation metrics, which is needed, along with a new fun and engaging off-season experience that could be interesting. I'm curious to see what that means. Under gameplay, the article says there will be an expansion of QuickTime events, defensive AI, and pathing updates, as well as more engaging moment-to-moment gameplay. These changes sound necessary and good, but the question remains, how much of an impact will these changes have? Are they enough? I was hoping to read that the entire gameplay engine was receiving a massive upgrade. Reverting Diamond Dynasty to how it was a few years ago isn't going to make the game all of a sudden great by itself. This will come down to how much better and more refined gameplay is, but also just how in-depth and crucial the updates to franchise and Road to the Show are. If MLB The Show 25 feels more like MLB The Show 22, 23, or 24, the series might hit a new low point. Fans are fed up. I think this game is made by a good team that does genuinely care about player feedback, but the time has come for them to step it up, because it's starting to feel like they're coasting by the same way EA and 2K are. Let me know in the comments what you thought of MLB The Show in recent years, and what you hope to see in The Show 25, which releases in March. Also, let me know if you want me to continue covering The Show 25 during pre-release and eventually review it. Thanks for watching.